Hello there, it's Amanda Fitzgerald here, and today I'm going to be doing a Sunday papers review. I've bought a whole selection of newspapers and I want to see what stories are interesting and have made, have stood out for me personally, and looking at it from a PR perspective. But first off, I put a post out in Facebook to ask everybody who they thought had won the PR stakes, who got the most PR mentions, which organisation it was. I thought it was going to be head and shoulders to be Dyson. Somebody else then mentioned the Royal Mint because they were making the face masks. And then somebody also said Joe Wicks. So I thought, okay, I've got the Sunday papers here. I'm actually going to be ticking who gets the most mentions. And do you know what? It's really funny. The company that actually beat everybody hands down was none of the above. It wasn't Dyson, it was not Joe Wicks, and it was not the Royal Mint. I didn't even see Dyson or the Royal Mint being mentioned in these papers. It was it was Zoom. Everybody has suddenly become a Zoom expert. Everybody is using Zoom. Now in these papers there is an actual figure of how many people have downloaded Zoom recently. Coming in second was Skype. They had 5 mentions throughout these newspapers. FaceTime got 4. Carol Vorderman got 2, and so did Joe Wicks. He also got 2 mentions. It's a very casual straw poll, but it was quite interesting to see that. So, starting off with the Sunday Times, let's go. Britons beat isolation by splurging on yoga mats, knitting kits and sheds. So the world is all, what is it? A quarter of the world is in self-isolation, and it's just saying that there's been a shopping spree with demand surging for lockdown-friendly products ranging from yoga mats and knitting wool to indoor bicycling and sheds. So if you've got a shed, I've actually got a shed, and I set up a very small ping pong table in there. It was brilliant, so I can play ping pong with myself, which was really good fun. My brother, he's a very keen cyclist, and he's often in his office on his turbo trainer. So I'm going to call him up and say, hey, can I borrow it when we're out of isolation? Sweaty Betty's £40 eco yoga mat was already out of stock on the brand's website yesterday, so they got a bit of a mention as well. So that was that. What's next? Oh yeah, this is great. So what kind of clothes are you getting dressed in these days now that you're doing self-isolation? Are you slopping around in pyjamas, or are you getting dolled up to the nines, putting on a gold lamé jacket, jaqué? So I did an interview the other day, and I really hope that you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, I interviewed the amazing, the incredible, the wise Terry Waite CBE. Now he was in captivity for 5 years back in the 1980s. He was a hostage in Beirut. He gave some really amazing tips on what we should do in order to kind of keep sane during this time of self-isolation. One of his biggest tips was actually not to slop around in your PJs and your slippers. So I said, oh, it's a good job I've dolled myself up for you today, Terry. So this is something which this woman has written a book. Let me just see what the author is called. The book is called Dress Your Best Life. Harness the Power of Clothes to Transform Your Confidence by Dawn Karen. Okay, and it's published by Penguin Life at $14.99. So it says this: the fashion shrink has a remedy for your blues. Pair them with pinks and yellows. The world's first sartorial psychologist tells Rosie Kinchin that clothes can improve mental health and help us stay positive even while we're in lockdown. I really, really, really agree with that. Sometimes it feels a bit weird to kind of like take off your face, even if you've not seen anybody, but it's still really good to do yourself up and to look smart and to not be in your PJs all day. And so what she says, it's really interesting. The article starts off by saying, how are you feeling and what is going on in your life? The therapist Dawn Karen asked me via FaceTime in New York. And FaceTime, here we go. That was another one on my list. FaceTime scored 4, by the way, in terms of mentions. And actually all these papers, everybody's talking about Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, what are the other ones? Slack as well. But it's really because that's how we're communicating these days. We're no longer having to go into offices, sit on trains and everything, do face-to-face. We're now having to do, virtual meetings. The journalist says, I consider my depleting larder and the toddler bellowing downstairs. And she goes, I'm feeling a little stressed. And she goes, this is Dawn, the author woman, goes, and how are you wearing your stress? She inquires, because Karen is a little different. She is, or claims to be, the world's first fashion psychologist. Now, what are you a first in? Are you a first in something? Because isn't that a great claim? And that's why she's got this PR, not only because she's written this book about, you know, all her amazing terms. For example, she says, if you wear clothes that make you fit into a certain group, think rappers or Sloane Rangers, you are exhibiting fashion identification assimilation. If you dress very differently, you are fashion situational code switching. Wow. Or fashion incongruence is thinking that you're dressing in one way but being perceived in another. And so there you go, very interesting outline of what this woman's book is all about, and I actually think it might be quite an interesting read. Oh yes, and she says that she is wearing a silk kimono. Let me just find the piece where it says, yeah, okay, so it says, Karen, a former catwalk model, is looking fresher than me in her working from home uniform. A small black dress and a silk kimono. I have to wear that because in the house, if I am not, I will feel really melancholy. It gives me a queen-like persona and makes me feel royal. You know, a bit of gold can make you feel royal as well. Just saying, hashtag. So that is that. Yes, and then the Sunday Times has a lovely, beautiful, big spread all about the nature that we can go out into the countryside and enjoy. And I've discovered, okay, looking at this article here, talking about the bumblebees, the kestrels. Oh, we can even go looking at a gnat. Hello. Peacock, song thrush, chiff chaff, blackbird, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? There are apps. There is an app. I've just discovered it. And it's called Chirpomatic, and it's $3.99. I'm going to be downloading that right now. And it's like an avian Shazam. It claims to identify bird song. Oh my God, that is my dream come true. Can't believe it. And there's another one here called Bird Song ID, which is $3.99. Listen to songs and calls, and it puts a name to them. Wow. So that is a bit of app PR. Thank you, the Sunday Times. Now we're going to go to the Sunday Express. Yes, this is the piece I wanted to read to you because it's the columnist called Jennifer Selway, and she says that she is warm, witty and wise. Now her piece is called Need Tips and Video Calls? Just See Me. Okay, a few short weeks ago, there was no place in my life for a video conferencing app as a guiding principle, which has served me very well, that business meetings are always best avoided, and what better excuse for avoiding them than not actually being there. Blah, blah, blah. She says things are different now, and she says, I'm using a video conferencing app called Zoom. Ooh, get me, she says. It's a top freeloaded app, and downloads increased by 1,270% between February the 22nd and March 22nd. OMG. And that's all because of coronavirus. And then she gives you instructions on how to use the app with her friends that she had I think she had a cocktail party with her girlfriends. So that was the piece I pulled out from the Sunday Express. Where are we going now? Let's go to the Observer. Now, I like the Observer. I don't normally take the Observer. I'm normally much more of a Times girl. But the Observer was great because it didn't just have like blanket coronavirus coverage. It kind of peppers it with lots of other lovely interviews and non-coronavirus related stories. So I recommend buying that as well. And also what they're doing is they're doing their bit for small businesses of the nation. They're saying online, but off the beaten track, the small suppliers who deliver so much more. Supermarket giants are not the only game in town, as local firms reinvent themselves to bring groceries and more to your door. So they've asked a series of journalists, or the people who write for the Observer, their recommendations of their preferred small businesses to support. So Rachel Cook, the Observer food writer, says, for bread, cakes and other good baked things, I recommend Botham's of Whitby. It has put together 3 care packages with no postage to pay, cupboard supplies and fresh goods or Easter treats. For wine, especially Italian, try Decorum Vintners. For cheese, check out the East London Cheese Board. So this is great. These small businesses are getting a lovely plug. Fenmi Fetto, who is the Observer Beauty Director, says, support small brands like Pai and Osakia. They're donating hand products, including hand sanitizers and creams to NHS hospitals and care homes. Or the Soap Co, which I use, oh my God, it's delicious, a social enterprise that employs disadvantaged and disabled workers. Sat Bang says, my local hero is Jonathan from the Fruit Basket, West Bridgeford in Nottinghamshire. He's delivering to the whole community, keeping replenishments throughout the day. That's brilliant. And make sure that no one is hoarding and insist the 2 metre rule is strictly kept. Really great. So anyway, they go on, they're promoting some small businesses, which is brilliant. And this is really, really important public service, okay? I don't know who has been the victim of a, a coronavirus-related scam. Now, I got a text message the other day. Now, it was somebody who I haven't actually got stored in my phone. So they just sent me this link, and I thought, my God, I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to quickly delete it. And it was promoting the Imperial College app that you can daily report if you're feeling well or if you're not feeling well. But I just got this link and I thought, oh my God, someone's trying to get into my phone. So what they're talking about here in the Observer is the social disease, how fraudsters adapt scams to exploit a captive audience. So just be really careful, whatever you're opening. I mean, there's loads of these spoof videos going around, which is fine. You can see them. You can actually see what they are when you're looking at it on WhatsApp. But if you get any text messages, any emails, just make sure you don't open the links, okay? It's really important. So that's that. And that's all from the Observer. Thank you so much. And then we're going to finish off with the Telegraph. So on the front we have the lovely Kate, and it says, Duchess dials into home working. The Duchess of Cambridge has joined the ranks of home workers to make telephone calls to her patronages. As has her husband. Yesterday the couple said the last few weeks have been anxious and unsettling for everybody, and urged the public to take time to support each other. Well, I think we're all doing a great job of doing that. Thank you. Now, this is not actually a piece of editorial, it's an advert, but I heard the author, Julia Samuel, being interviewed today on the radio, so she has also got a PR machine working. And it was so compelling, I sent myself a text message to buy the book immediately. And the book is called This Too Shall Pass. And the blurb says, acclaimed psychotherapist Julia Samuel draws on hours of conversations with her patients to show how we can adapt and thrive during difficult, transformative experiences. Illustrated by psychological and social research, this book unflinchingly deals with the hard times in family, love, work, health and identity. The author was amazing when she was interviewed today on the radio, and I thought, yes, I need to buy that book as well. So I recommend you buy it. Have a look at that, yeah. So that's the Telegraph. And then I just want to, last piece is this. It's their cover story. And it's the fact that we're all getting so much more crafty now that we're stuck at home. And what a great thing to be stuck at home, so we can just literally start drawing and colouring and sewing and doing all sorts of lovely creative things. For example, drawing. It says here, lots of us wish we were better at drawing, but Alexandra Coe, whose signature line-drawn nudes are the most sought after on Instagram, says, we all have it in us. As children, we draw a lot, and it's a great way for children to develop. So why don't we continue this as adults? So therefore, they're giving us an app that we can go to, and for more artistic inspiration, follow Partnership Editions, the online art platform giving free live drawing and painting sessions. And all you need is a pen or a pencil. Treat yourself to a Caran d'Ache at carandache.com, another bit of a plug, and you need some paper. And then, it's got some other things. You can do embroidery. Now, I have a client who has a lovely company called Hungarian Hearts, Little Hungarian Hearts. And that's, you have to sew lovely, embroider Hungarian hearts. So they're not getting a name drop here, but I'm going to tell you, here we are. Patterns, DMC has free patterns. Wool and the Gang sells wool, obviously, and you can go to YouTube for their tutorials. And there's loads of brilliant stuff. There's stuff about block printing, creative writing, Stitch School. When you're not able to attend their workshops, Stitch School shows off a variety of creative sewing projects and has kits to buy. And it's instagram.com/stitch_school. So this was a whole piece supporting smaller businesses. So well done, the Telegraph. Well done, all these papers for helping keep the small businesses going, which is basically me to wrap up to say, if you've got a small business, yes, now is a time to shine. Now is a time to be putting your head right above the parapet and to be getting visible. So if you'd like any help in doing that, I am your gal. in your golden jacket. So my website is amandapr.com, and if you'd like to speak about how to get into the press, give me a call or apply for a call on amandapr.com/apply. Thank you so much for watching.